And let me tell y'all what they just voted for. I want y'all to take a guess. Okay, y'all probably not gonna guess it because it don't make sense. But if you think of the most ridiculous thing that they could do, okay, I know that that's really hard too because everything that they do is quite ridiculous. But literally, they just voted.
All right, we have massive breaking news and zero time to waste. Republicans in Congress, in the middle of the night, just pushed forward an immigration bill that does not fix any problems at the border. It does not streamline any of the systems at the border. In fact, it doesn't make life easier for anybody. It just allocates more resources towards deporting people with no due process, no chance for a notice or a trial or anything, which is incredibly antithetical to American values. So I feel like it would be an abdication of my duty if I didn't hop on and boost what Jasmine Crockett said, what Eric Swalwell said. A lot of Democrats hopped on Instagram or Twitter in the middle of the night and were spreading their message. Just to lay the groundwork, this reads, House panel advances sweeping bill of Trump immigration priorities, but the priorities are all wrong. A little over a year ago, Republican Senator James Lankford introduced an imperfect immigration bill, but it was a step in the right direction towards actually streamlining the processes and making it so that it doesn't take 9 years for people to come over through the legal channels. Now, Trump told Republicans in Congress not to vote on that. They said nuke that immigration bill because Trump knew that having a problem at the border helps him politically. Now that he's in power, he's not trying to streamline the process. Of course, he's not trying to streamline anything. He's trying to deport people with no due process. House Republicans on Wednesday advanced legislation to back a series of President Trump's immigration priorities, raising fees on those seeking refuge in the United States. Let me read that one more time. It's not anything to do with people coming here illegally. It's people seeking refuge, which is actually one of the legal ways you come here. If you're being persecuted by a government of another country, you can seek asylum. And now they're trying to make it harder to do that, which in turn incentivizes people to come up with more and more creative ways to come over here illegally if you make it impossible for people to come here legally. But let's pass it over to Jasmine Crockett. Make sure you drop a like to help boost this message. And by the way, we built an amazing, beautiful movement on the Mockler channel, so thank you to everybody. You can subscribe if you want to join the movement. It's free, and let's listen to this.
Hey, y'all, so I'm jumping on really quickly. First of all, it's too cold in this building. So, yes, excuse me. I know I look tacky, but this is my jacket because I'm about to head out for a second to do votes. But I wanted to make sure that I told y'all what just happened. So I've been in oversight forever today, but now we are in our markup, and it is in judiciary. And let me tell y'all what they just voted for. I want y'all to take a guess. Okay, y'all probably not gonna guess it because it don't make sense. But if you think of the most ridiculous thing that they could do, okay, I know that that's really hard too because everything that they do is quite ridiculous. But literally, they just voted. They being the other ones, not us, because we were all on the right side of history. They just voted to give Trump the ability, legally, to give him the ability to deport U.S. citizens. That is what they voted for. A bunch of elected U.S. representatives. That is how they voted. Am I telling a lie, Eric, or no?
No, I got my salad here. Mouthful. No, I'm stunned.
I'm not. But I'm glad that you... Oh, okay. Eric been here longer than me, but like...
So what we said was, we even said, you know what? Many of us will not offer any more amendments tonight. We won't vote for the overall bill. But if you agree to this, we'll drop any other amendments. We'll take the win that this would be in the bill, that you would agree U.S. citizens can't be deported. They voted to allow Donald Trump to deport U.S. citizens. And they did it during the week that we learned that a 4-year-old little girl fighting cancer, a U.S. citizen, has been deported, separated from her U.S. citizen father and her cancer treatment. So, yeah, it's kind of shocking.
Well, he's shocked. Y'all, listen now. I came in with nothing but fools. So he been here longer, so maybe he still has a little bit of shock in his life, but I don't personally. Because the fact is, we used to live in a world in which where we saw the news about that baby that got deported, the baby with cancer, because supposedly he the man that's all about the children with cancer, right? Like, that's why he made sure one of his guests was at the State of the Union was a child with cancer. So surely, even though they're cutting cancer funding, but like, it is a U.S. citizen. Like, there honestly isn't even this real thing of like deporting a U.S. citizen. As far as I'm concerned, you randomly kidnapping folk and you throwing them out of the country against their civil rights, against their constitutional rights. And frankly, how would they feel if some other country decided that they were going to just start throwing people randomly in our country? Like,
And one more point to build on top of what Jasmine Crockett's saying, when they're being deported, oftentimes it's to CCOT. It's to a torturous prison where you cannot escape. So it's more than a deportation, it's a death sentence.
That is absolutely insane. So yes, all I gotta say is y'all need to get these fools.
Yeah, so the clip ends there, but Jasmine Crockett explains it perfectly. And here's the problem with Trump's insane plans that he throws out there. Whether it's invading Canada or deporting U.S. citizens, Trump supporters will always claim he's just trolling, he's just joking around. When he talks about running in 2028, he's just joking. But then you ask them, okay, if he were being serious, would you still defend him? Because I can almost guarantee 99% of Trump supporters, maybe that's being generous, it might be 100%, would still be lockstep with Trump if he began to actually amass troops on the border, if he began to actually put his name on the ballots. They claim that he's joking and trolling, but then they still defend his joking or trolling. He's not joking. You can't defend him every step of the way. And here's a good example. When Trump said he wanted to deport homegrowns, a lot of Republicans, like Ben Shapiro types, were like, you guys realize he's joking, right? But then when it actually comes, when push comes to shove, they allow this bill to pass. This says Republicans vote against move to stop ICE from deporting U.S. citizens. Let me break down exactly the mechanisms that were voted for here. House Republicans have voted down an effort to block immigration enforcers from using federal resources to detain or deport U.S. citizens. During a House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday, Democrats tabled amendments to a sweeping budget bill that President Trump has dubbed, quote, one big beautiful bill. One amendment introduced by Representative Pramila Jayapal sought to make clear that ICE cannot detain or deport U.S. citizens under any circumstances. However, GOP lawmakers killed that amendment. Here's why it matters. President Trump in April floated the idea of sending U.S. citizens convicted of crimes to El Salvador. Here's why it matters. Trump has repeatedly floated the idea of sending U.S. citizens to El Salvador. The Trump admin has also flouted court orders from the Supreme Court, from other courts, saying that you cannot detain people like this, you cannot illegally deport people. The Trump admin does not care. Any such move risks a clash with the U.S. Supreme Court. But the question is, does the Trump admin really care? We already saw the Supreme Court last month have a 9-0 ruling against the Trump admin, and the Trump admin's response was to gaslight and say that it was actually 9-0 in favor of the admin. So they're just going to lie, they're going to gaslight. Throughout all of this, they're going to try to deport U.S. citizens. This says on April 5th, President Trump told reporters on Air Force One, quote, we have some horrible criminals, American-grown, born, and that he is all for sending them to prisons in El Salvador. Quote, I don't know what the law says on that. But the thing is, when he says we have homegrown criminals, he's just talking about brown people. Like, there's a 0% chance that if this admin started to deport U.S. citizens, any white people would be swept up in this. They would totally racially profile. I'm not even trying to be edgy. They would absolutely racially profile. That's why last month we bought this domain. It was deportderek.com. And I made this whole meme post. It was a joke post saying that Derek Chauvin is a criminal for killing George Floyd. The Trump admin has already illegally deported people. So if they're going to deport a homegrown criminal, why don't they deport Derek Chauvin? Now, after I bought this domain, deportderek.com, I got a lot of emails of people saying, Adam, this is way too far. You are a messed up person. So I took down the domain. But if you guys can see the point I was trying to make regarding the targeting of white people rather than just trying to deport brown people, MAGA Republicans have zero problem with abuses of power towards any sort of minority. If you're deporting a brown father from Maryland, they do not care. They will justify it. But what if you deport an actual convicted criminal who's on camera killing George Floyd and who's a white man? All of a sudden, they get uncomfortable when you flip the power dynamic. That was the point. If you guys think I should revive the Deport Derek domain and maybe do a little bit more of a tactful movement where I tried to illustrate that Republicans only care about targeting brown people, let me know. I think it could be an interesting social experiment. So let me know. Drop a like. I love you all. See you in the next video and peace out.